Come in. Watch the threshold there. The weather stripping is loose. I put in a ticket with facilities, but you know how it is. They prioritize the reactor core over the executive carpet. I can't believe you're actually here. No, seriously. Galactic Business Monthly. In my office, I have to tell you, I've been a subscriber since I was a junior logistics officer on Ord Mantell. I have the holographic archive of every issue from the last 20 years. Your piece last month on the microeconomics of the colto shortage? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The way you deconstructed the supply chain elasticity, I made my entire senior staff read it. I told them, this is the level of analysis I expect. Please, sit down. Take the good chair. No, I insist. That one that has the lumbar support that actually works. I'll take the mesh one. It squeaks a little, but, I like the noise. Keeps me awake. Can I get you anything? We have water. It's ionized and locally sourced. Or CAF. Now, full disclosure, the CAF machine in the break room is a bit temperamental. It burns the beans if you don't press the button at a specific angle, but I can send an intern to the vendor cart down the street. They make a decent stimulant tea. No? Just water? Sure? Okay. I have to say though, it's such an honor. I know you usually profile the bigwigs on Coruscant or the shipwrights on Kuat, but to have the GBM come all the way out here to Eriadu, to the Outer Rim, it validates everything we're doing. It proves that the core is finally paying attention to the engine room of the galaxy. Because that's what this is. Look out that window. It's not pretty, is it? It's not the glittering spires of the Federal District. It smells like sulfur and ozone and unrefined Tabana gas. My mother visited once and she asked why the air tasted like pennies. I told her, Mom, that's the taste of productivity. If the air was clear, it would mean the factories were idle. And if the factories are idle, the galaxy stops. That smog is the physical manifestation of the economy. It's beautiful in its own way, don't you think? It's honest. So, the day in the life profile, huh? I love this column. I read the one you did on the CEO of Losan Industries. Fascinating man. A bit rigid for my taste. Too much bureaucracy, not enough agility, but effective. Well, my day starts early, 5:30 in the morning. I don't use a loud alarm, I use a sunrise simulator. It helps regulate the circadian rhythm, which is important when you live on a planet where the actual sun is usually blocked by exhaust fumes. The first thing I do, I check the commodity markets. Dunium ore, Tabana gas, condensed protein. I need to know the price of a kilo of raw Durasteel before I even brush my teeth. If Durasteel is up, it's going to be a good day. If it's down, I know I have to squeeze some efficiency out of the labor force. The commute is, it's Eriadu. Today, for instance, I was stuck for 40 minutes. A protest. Citizens for Clean Water, I think they called themselves. They were blocking the tracks, holding up these handmade signs. And I sat there looking at them. I didn't feel angry. I really didn't. I just felt pity. Not for their cause, I mean. Their cause is scientifically illiterate. The water on Eriadu is perfectly safe as long as you have the Czerka brand filtration unit installed in your sink, but pity for their time management. Imagine having the free time on a Tongs Day morning to stand on a train track. Don't they have jobs? If they took that energy and applied it to a vocational course, they could get a job in the filtration plant and fix the water themselves. It's a mindset issue. People want the world to change for them instead of changing themselves to fit the world. But I digress. I got in at 7 a.m. and walked through the bullpen. I make a point to say good morning to everyone. The analysts, the drone repair guys, the janitors. We're like a family here. A massive corporate family. I grabbed my burnt CAF, sat down at this desk, sorry about the mess by the way, we're in the middle of a massive audit, and opened the inbox. 412 unread messages. You want to talk about the burden of leadership? Well, it's not the big decisions that keep me up at night, it's the inbox. Look at this one, top of the pile. Subject, displacement complaint. Sector 7 settlement. Sounds ominous, right? Displacement. It's such a loaded word. The sentient rights groups love that word. But let me give you the context. There's a settlement of farmers on one of Eriadu's smaller continents. Lovely people, I'm sure, salt of the earth. But they built their homesteads directly on top of a massive iridium vein. We hold the mineral rights to that iridium. We've held them for 50 years. We sent them notices, we offered to help them move to a spot 5 miles east, and we even offered to lend them a heavy lifter droid for the afternoon. And they refused. They talked about ancestral land. Now, look, I respect history. I really do. But iridium is essential for chips. If we don't mine that iridium, the price of data pads goes up in the core worlds. Schools can't afford computers for their students, medical droids get more expensive. So I had to authorize a forced relocation. I signed the order this morning. Security teams will go in, pack them up, and move them. It's for the greater good. But the email I got from the activist group calls me a corporate tyrant. Me, a tyrant. I drive a mid-range speeder for chaos's sake, and I volunteer at the company Repulsor Drive on weekends. But to them, I'm the villain. It's all about perspective, isn't it? I see myself as a gardener. Sometimes you have to pull a weed so the flower bed can grow. Speaking of gardening, you're gonna love this. We're in the middle of the Agomar system integration. I know, it's a bit controversial, the hostile takeover, but honestly, it's the most exciting project I've ever worked on. The Agomaran government was a mess. Crumbling infrastructure, massive debt, and total inefficiency. They were sitting on a gold mine of Dunium, and they were letting it sit there because of environmental regulations. Can you imagine letting ore sit in the ground while the galaxy is starving for resources? It's selfish, really. So we stepped in, assumed their debt, and we're now effectively the government. And the stories coming out of there, well, they're inspiring. I saw a file this morning. A young man, an Agomaran. Before we arrived, he was a poet. He wrote verses about the sand and the sorrow of existence. He was unemployed. He was hungry. He was contributing nothing to the galaxy. Under Czerka administration, he's been retrained. He's now a level 3 heavy loader operator. Think about that transformation for a second. He went from writing words that nobody read to moving tons of rock that will build starships. He has a purpose. He has a daily quota to hit, which gives his life structure. I consider that a victory. The company saved that man from obscurity. And that's why I really do this. That's why I love Czerka. People think we're all about profit, and sure, profit is great. I love profit, but really, we're about potential. We see value where others see dirt. I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. I really believe in the mission. And to be able to share it with your readers, it's a dream come true. What do you want to know? Ask me anything. Ethical sourcing, labor relations, the future on the Outer Rim. I'm an open book. Hit me. You're asking about the Reach. Well, that's a great question. In your message, you called it the architecture of power. And I have to tell you, I printed that message out and stuck it on my fridge. The architecture of power. It's so poetic. You have a real gift with words. It makes what we do sound so sculptural. But honestly, it's mostly plumbing. Come here. Oh no, don't worry about the cable on the floor. That's the hard line to the main server. We had to run it externally because the wall rats chewed through the conduit last week. Life on the Rim, right? Well, stand here. I want to show you the big board. This is it. The Czerka Rim Network. It probably looks like a star map to you, but look closer at the nodes. See that pulsing light on Telos 4? That's Citadel Station. Czerka's got a bunch of security contracts there, and we're breaking into the terraforming business too. As the Republic rebuilds and restores all the dead worlds ravaged by the wars, we're looking to be part of the restoration projects. That's just Czerka for you, building up the galaxy one planet at a time. And over there, that's the water filtration grid for the Sirocco resettlement zone. And here, this big angry red dot, that's the Agomar system. And here's Eriadu. You ask how I manage such a massive industrialization program from behind a desk? You ask if it feels impersonal? Well, I think it's actually hyper-personal. See, I don't need a fleet of starships to project power. That's the old way. It's expensive and messy. Who wants to clean up the rubble? Not me. Rubble is hard to monetize. I use leverage, infrastructure leverage. Speaking of industrialization, look at that indicator. The governor is hailing me. This is perfect timing. You're going to see the conflict resolution protocols in real time. Now, full disclosure, the governor is a bit emotional. He's a good man, cares deeply about his people, but he doesn't understand the reality of galactic economics. He's currently leading a protest against Czerka's planned expansion of the seaside refinery blocks. Alright, Governor, good morning. I suppose it's the afternoon over there. How's the weather? The sensors say it's a scorcher today. Governor, please, take a breath. I can hear your blood pressure from here. I know you're upset about the expansion plans. I truly do understand. It's a big change. But Eriadu's contract with Czerka clearly states that the corporation has the rights to expand its facilities as needed. No, the chance of the runoff poisoning the planetary water table is extremely unlikely. Why does everyone assume we haven't already looked into that? Governor, Czerka builds things. We don't break them. But I do have a concern. I'm looking at the schematics for the current refinery complex. You know, the one you and your people are crowded in front of. Well, here's the thing. My engineers are telling me that a critical maintenance request was placed for the bulkheads around the slag holding tanks 3 days ago. But because you've blocked our access to the facility, I can't send in a repair team, and I can't guarantee the integrity of the bulkheads. Well, a bulkhead failure would mean a leak, naturally, and there'd be a catastrophic outflow of molten slag. Enough to flood a good chunk of the city, never mind the entrance plaza. I'm not holding the city hostage, heavens no. I'm trying to prevent a system failure, but I can't send a maintenance team to prevent a leak without access to the facility. Access you're currently denying us. So it's really up to you. I can have a maintenance team down there as soon as you allow me, or we might bear witness to a tragic industrial accident. 5 minutes? Yeah, that should be fine. Oof, tense, right? But did you hear that? I gave him an out. I gave him a choice. You're looking at me a little funny. No, I want to get this clear. I'm demonstrating the value of the service we provide. We provide the city protection from industrial accidents like this. We provide safety. If they reject our contracts, they reject that safety. That's just the terms of service. It's in the fine print. Clause 99. Service interruptions may occur in cases of non-compliance. And there we go. He surrendered. Barricades are coming down. The repairmen will be transferred in shortly. I really hope you put that in the article. Director resolves planetary standoff through infrastructure management. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Ah, that's right. You also had asked about the human element. You want to know what happens to the people of Eriadu now that they're us. I saw you eyeing the workforce manifest earlier. You have questions about the transition from citizen to asset. I love that topic. It's fascinating sociology. Most people think labor camps are depressing. And sure, historically they have been, but we're trying something new. We're applying game theory to the workforce. Have you heard of the Family Link? It's this brilliant program we just rolled out. Here, let me pull up this interface. You're gonna love the graphics. We hired a UI designer from Coruscant to make it look friendly. I want you to see the user interface. We spent 6 months A/B testing this dashboard, and the color palette alone increased data retention by 12%. This is the ledger. Now, to the untrained eye, this looks like a spreadsheet. To me, it's the story of civilization in real time. See this column here? Biological assets Class A? That represents the Eriaduan population we just acquired, roughly 4 million sentient beings. You don't like the word asset. I get it. Sounds cold. You prefer citizen. But let's unpack that. What is a citizen in the Outer Rim? A citizen is a liability. A citizen has rights, needs protection, consumes resources, and usually pays 0 taxes because the local economy is barter-based. A citizen is a drain on the system. Now an asset, well, that has value. An asset has utility. An asset is protected because it generates revenue. By converting the Eriaduan from citizens to assets, I've effectively given them a promotion. Yesterday, a moisture farmer on Eriadu was irrelevant to the galaxy. If he fell down a well, nobody on Coruscant cared. Today, here's a component in the supply chain that builds hyperdrives. I've given him galactic relevance. I've integrated him into the machine. Look at these subcategories. We break them down by physiology, and no, that's not prejudice. You wouldn't use a hydro spanner to hammer a nail, right? So why would I put a Rhodian in a heavy lifting role when I have a Wookiee available? It's bad for the Rhodian's back, and it's bad for my timelines. Here, row 400 through 5000. High dexterity / low strength. These are mostly the younger Eriaduans. We're designating them for the microcircuitry assembly plants in the new industrial district. Small hands and good eyesight. We can run the assembly lines for 16 hours a day. It's light work, climate controlled, and they're gonna love it compared to farming dirt in the heat. Oh, the breakage column. Yeah, sharp eye. Most reporters get distracted by the revenue column. Breakage is the actuarial term for, well, expiration. Biological units are fragile. It's a design flaw, really. They get sick, they get injured, they age, and we have to factor that into the profit margin. If a worker gets crushed by a mining cart, which is rare, mind you, our safety record is top tier, but accidents happen, that is a loss of initial investment. We have a formula for this. We calculate the cost of medical treatment versus the cost of replacement. If the Colto tank costs 500 credits and acquiring a new worker costs 300, well, the math makes the decision for us. I see that look. You're judging me. You're thinking, how can you reduce a life to a math problem? But I'm not the one who did that. The market did. Let me ask you a question. When you bought that recorder you're holding, did you ask how many laborers died mining the rare earth magnets inside it? When you booked your trip to Eriadu, did you mourn the welders who built the hull plates in zero gravity without proper radiation shielding? No, you checked to see if the ticket was refundable. I'm simply the man who ensures the ticket price stays low. I do the math you're too polite to do. I carry the burden of the ledger so you can live in your moral luxury. You get to be the hero who writes the expose, I get to be the logistician who keeps the lights on. But let's talk about the quality of life. This is the part I'm really excited about. This is the worker interface. Every Eriaduan will get one of these on their wrist cons. We gamified labor. See this bar? Daily quota? It fills up as they mine ore. When it hits 100%, it turns bright green, plays a happy little chime, and releases a badge on their profile. Gold Star Digger. It triggers a dopamine hit. We tested it. Productivity went up 15% just by adding the sound effect. If they exceed the quota by 10%, they unlock Tier 2 rewards. Flavor packets for their protein paste, extra bedding, music credits for their dorms. And look here, this is the feature I'm most proud of, the family link. We know that separation anxiety is a major drag on productivity. When we separate the families, men to the mines, women to the factories, children to the academies, they get sad, they mope, output drops. So we monetized the connection. A worker earns communication credits for every hour of overtime they work. 10 hours of overtime buys 5 minutes of video call time with their spouse in the other camp. Just think about the psychology of that. We don't have to stand over them with a whip. I mean, that's just barbaric, right? Instead, we give them a goal. They'll work themselves to the bone, voluntarily, enthusiastically, just to see their child's face for 300 seconds on Bender Day. It turns love into an engine for profit. Is it evil to give them that hope? To give them a way to earn what they value most? In hut space, slaves work until they die with no agency. In Czerka space, agency is the currency. They choose to work harder. They choose to earn that call. I've empowered them. I argue it's compassionate. It's a modern solution to an ancient problem. Lunch is here. Hope you're hungry. I ordered us the executive special. Nutrient paste. It's the same formula we feed the workers actually. I eat it every day. You look skeptical. Go on, try it. It's chocolate flavored. Well, choco synth flavored. I believe in eating what the team eats. It keeps me grounded. Plus, it's incredibly efficient. No chewing required. You can drink your lunch in 3 minutes and get back to the data. The texture is a little gritty today, probably a new batch of calcium supplements, but it gets the job done. So, While we eat, let's pivot. You know, in every day in the life article I read in your magazine, especially the ones profiling those Coruscant banking types, the executive always claims to be a machine. They say things like, I power through the afternoon on pure adrenaline and market volatility, or I don't get tired, I get leverage. Honest answer? Well, I get sleepy. It's the carb crash from the nutrient paste. The choco synth flavor is delicious, but the glycemic index is a little high. Right now, my body is diverting blood flow from my frontal cortex to my stomach to digest the algae suspension. It's a biological inefficiency, really. If Czerka Engineering could figure out a way to photosynthesize, I'd be the first one in line for the gene therapy. But until then, we have to manage the wetware we were born with. So this is part of my routine. Every day, I change the environment. Better, much better. We call this the golden hour protocol. It tricks the brain's circadian rhythm. It lowers the cortisol just enough to stop the jitters, but it keeps the focus sharp. It creates a mood of reflection. Now, usually from 2:30 to 4 p.m, I do my deep work. This is where I get creative. You asked about my personal life earlier. What I do when I'm not firing old friends. Well, I'm a bit of a hobbyist architect. I know it sounds silly, the corporate exec who likes to draw houses. But I love designing communities. I love the logic of how people live together. Czerka is launching a new product line next year. It's my pet project. I want to show you the prototypes. You're the first press to see this, so please keep it under your hat until the press release drops. Come over to the drafting table. We call it the Czerka life. See, we realized something about the market in the Outer Rim. The people out here, they're tired. They're tired of pirates raiding their settlements. They're tired of the water filters breaking down. They're tired of local warlords taxing them for protection that never comes. They're living in a state of constant, low-level anxiety. So we thought, why not sell them a solution? Why not sell them peace of mind? This is the Colony Starter Kit. It's a prefab civilization. We drop it from orbit and boom, instant town. We provide pre-furnished, modular, stain-resistant housing units with central power generators, atmosphere scrubbers, and even gravity stabilizers to ensure a comfortable 1Gs regardless of the planet's natural mass. And here's the revolutionary part. It's a subscription model. You move in for free, you then sign the contract, you get the key code, and you move into a beautiful brand new home with 24/7 droid security patrolling the streets. And in exchange, you pay a monthly civic fee. It covers everything: air, water, gravity, law enforcement, waste removal, HoloNet access. It solves the housing crisis overnight. No more slums, no more shantytowns, just clean, efficient, Czerka managed living. Now look, you're a business writer, so I know what you're thinking. You're asking, what about churn? What happens if they stop paying? This is where my afternoon routine comes in. I spend this time tweaking the penalty algorithms. In the Republic, if you miss a tax payment, what happens? We send you a letter, then another letter, then maybe a court summons. It takes years to foreclose on a house. It's just inefficient. In a Czerka colony, we have direct control of the environment. If you're late on your bill, let's say 30 days past due, we simply throttle the service. We lower the gravity in your specific housing unit by 10%. It's not dangerous, absolutely not. It's just annoying. It's floaty. It makes it hard to cook soup. It makes it hard to sleep because you keep drifting off the mattress. It's a gentle, physical reminder. The house is saying, hey, pay your bill and gravity returns to normal. If you're really late, say 60 days, we throttle the air scrubbers. We don't cut the air off, that would be murder. We just switch to economy mode. The air gets a little stale, a little sulfurous. It smells like the outside world. It reminds you of what life is like without Czerka. It's psychological reinforcement. It makes the resident appreciate the value of the clean oxygen we provide. I'm currently debating the pricing tiers. We're thinking of a gold tier citizenship. For an extra 200 credits a month, you get priority gravity, 1.05 Gs for better bone density, premium water pressure, and access to the fast lane at the colony store. And then a bronze tier, basic gravity, recycled water, and ads. Yes, ads in your house. If you're on the bronze tier, the wall panels in your living room will play Czerka advertisements for 1 hour a day. Buy Czerka. You can mute them, but you can't turn them off. It keeps the rent low for the working class. It's an ad-supported lifestyle. I really think this is the future of governance. Here, the user agreement is the law. You sign the terms of service when you move in, and if you break the rules, say by playing music too loud or trying to unionize the neighborhood, you violate the TOS and your door lock code is deactivated. We ran a beta test on Raxus Prime last year. Do you know what the satisfaction rating was? 88%. People loved it. They didn't care about the subscription fees, and they didn't care that they didn't own the land. They cared that the roof didn't leak, and they cared that the gangs didn't kick down their doors. They traded their autonomy for predictability, and they were happy to do it. I think that's beautiful. I think that's what the galaxy is craving. We're just the first ones brave enough to package it and sell it for a monthly fee. Hang on. Okay, that's a Sector 4 alert. This is a crisis event. You wanted to see how I handle pressure? You wanted to see if the facade cracks? Well, watch this. This isn't a drill. Okay, let's see what the galaxy has thrown at us today. A Sector 4 alert. Primary Orbital Tabana Gas Refinery. We have a hull breach in Section 9. Pressure seal failed on the main containment tank. It looks like, yes, it's a catastrophic leak. Raw, unrefined Tabana gas is flooding into the adjacent sector. Now, unrefined Tabana is highly toxic. If you breathe it in for more than 3 minutes, your lungs crystallize. It's painless, I'm told, just a sudden inability to process oxygen. The gas is leaking into Dormitory Block A. This is the night shift dorm. According to the biometric sensors, we have 42 workers currently asleep in that block. So, here's the situation. I have 2 options. Option A, I initiate an emergency vent of the entire sector, blast doors open, the atmosphere flushes out into space, and the gas dissipates. The workers wake up cold, but alive. However, if I vent the sector, I also vent the contents of the leaking tank. That tank holds approximately 4,000 tons of refined gas. Current market price for Tabana is 1,500 credits per ton. So option A costs the company 6 million credits in lost production, plus the cost of scrubbing the atmosphere scrubbers afterwards. Let's call it 7 million conservatively. Option B, I seal the bulkheads. I lock down Section 9, I contain the leak, and the gas stays inside. We save the product and we can pump it back out later and re-refine it. The loss is negligible, maybe 10,000 credits in seal repairs. And yes, I know you're thinking about the 42 workers in Block A who are sealed in with the leak, but these workers are Contract Class C. They signed the standard liability waiver when they took the job. In the event of an industrial accident, Czerka pays a flat settlement to the next of kin. The settlement for a Class C worker is 50,000 credits. 42 workers times 50,000 credits equals 2.1 million credits. Cost to vent, 7 million, and cost to seal, 2.1 million. 7 million minus 2.1 million is 4.9 million. If I seal the doors, I save the company nearly 5 million credits. I know, you're thinking he's weighing lives against gas, but I'm not. I'm weighing the solvency of the refinery. If that refinery loses 7 million credits today, it misses its quarterly target. If it misses its target, corporate headquarters might shut it down. If they shut it down, 5,000 people lose their jobs. So, do I sacrifice 42 people to save the livelihoods of 5,000? Well, honestly, we have excellent insurance. Their families will get the payout within 24 hours. That's significantly faster than the Republic offers for service-related deaths. We take care of our own, even in death. Bulkheads sealed. It happens very fast. They didn't suffer. They just stopped. Now I have to write the press release. This is the part I hate. Finding the right synonyms. You're a writer. Help me out here. Tragic industrial accident is too cliche. How about unexpected containment anomaly resulting in workforce reduction? No, that's too cold. Let's go with heroic sacrifice by containment team prevents sector-wide contamination. Yeah, that's perfect. Frames them as heroes. It gives the family something to be proud of. We'll erect a plaque in the hallway. The Block A42 has a nice ring to it. To all staff. From Director. Subject, a moment of silence. Team, today we faced a challenge in Section 9. Due to a seal failure, we lost 42 brave members of the Czerka family. Their quick thinking allowed us to contain the leak and prevent a wider catastrophe. We'll be holding a moment of silence at 5 p.m. Production quotas remain in effect. Sent. It's heavy work though. Making those calls, it takes a toll on the spirit. You look horrified. You haven't touched your water. You have to understand, if I let myself feel every death, I wouldn't be able to do this job. And if I don't do this job, the gas stops flowing. And if the gas stops flowing, hyperdrives on ships up and down the rimmer. And if the gas stops flowing, hyperdrives on ships up and down the rimmer don't have coolant for their hyperdrives. No coolant mean trade slows, and that means things like food shipments slow down too. So, in a way, those 42 workers just saved a whole city block on the core worlds from starvation. See? It's all connected. The ledger balances everything eventually. I don't believe in overtime for executives. If you can't liquidate a planetary government, restructure a department, and manage a lethal gas leak in 10 hours, you aren't working efficiently. Burnout is a liability. So, tonight is exciting. I have a plan. I'm taking a cooking class. Virtually, of course. It's a taste of the core series broadcast from Alderaan. Tonight, we're making spicy Ronto wraps with a Jogan fruit reduction. I had the ingredients delivered to my house this morning. I find chopping vegetables very therapeutic. You have control over the knife. The vegetables don't argue. They don't form unions. They don't have biometric signals that turn black. You just chop. It helps me decompress. You have to separate the work from the life, you know. You can't just take the death of 40 people home with you. It ruins your appetite. Then, I usually call my mother. She lives on Chandrila. She's a retired florist. She worries about me. She thinks the outer rim is dangerous. She asks if I'm eating enough. I tell her, Mom, I run the sector. I'm eating fine. I keep the conversations light. We talk about her garden and we talk about the weather. It keeps me grounded. Reminds me that there's a world outside of profit margins. And then, if there's time, I watch swoop racing. I love it. The Taurisian season opener replays are on tonight. It's fast, it's loud, it's pointless. It's the exact opposite of my job. In my job, every decision has a billion credit consequence. In swoop racing, if Red Ross crashes, he crashes. It doesn't trigger an insurance audit. Are you headed to the spaceport? My driver's waiting downstairs. He can drop you off. It's on the way to the residential block. And one last thing before you go. You've spent the day with me, and I know the article you're going to write. I can see it in your eyes. It's going to be scathing. You're going to call me a symptom of galactic decay. You're going to call me a banality of evil. But be honest with yourself. Tonight, when you go to bed, you're going to stay cool thanks to climate control. You're going to drink clean, ionized water. You get to charge your datapad to file your story. And you're going to do all of that because of men like me. We do the dirty work. We make the hard calls. We trade 40 lives to keep the fuel prices low so you can fill up your starship for a few credits less. We displace a few farmers so you can have cheap computers. You live in a house built by Czerka. You just don't like looking at the foundation because it's dirty. So, am I the villain? Or am I just the janitor who takes out the galaxy's trash so you don't have to smell it? Think about that on the flight home.